A contemporary musical play is being streamed live for fans in Johannesburg and in Bielefeld in Germany. It's titled At Your Doorstep and tells the story of hope and dreams of young people on these two continents. For more on this, let's bring in the director of the play. That's Robert Lehmeier, who joins us in our studios this morning. Robert, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much indeed for making the time. Musical theatre alone presents interesting challenges, even in one city. You're hoping to have people watch this play essentially from two cities on two continents. How does it work?
Well, it's a long process. We started with the idea 3 years ago and tried to find out how that could work. And of course, you know, the younger generation now lives on social media and is used to chat to every corner in the world. So the idea was, how could we combine a live performance and streaming it to the other side of the world? And yeah, we found a solution which the technology allows us now to show a live part and on a big video screen the partner of the chats. So what you see in Johannesburg is the Johannesburg side live and on a big video screen the German side, and on the German side you see the German part live and the Johannesburg side on the video screen. And that's how it works. It's on a click track, because of course you have with the timing to be very careful. It's question and answer, like a chat, like you would chat with somebody on a different continent.
Fascinating. What does that mean for language?
Well, of course it's mainly in English, but parts are in German, so we have subtitles. So we have two screens actually. On one screen you have always the translation. So in Joburg it's in English. We have the English translation of the German parts.
Right. At Your Doorstep, it's a story around four characters, we understand. There's a bit of love, I think, involved there, and some, I suppose, an undercurrent of Afrophobia. Tell us a bit more about the plot of this play.
Well, firsthand, it's a simple story. It's about two guys falling in love with each other online. So we have a young man in Joburg and a young woman in Bielefeld, and they start chatting and kind of fall in love. And they are connected. But what does that mean, never meeting in person? And in the long run, you know, what would be the next step? The challenge would be, what if you meet in real? So the plot ends, the story ends, it's an open ending, so we don't know what's happening. The last sentence is, who's going to book the flight? So, you know, it's all about that. What does it mean on the one side through technology being connected, but this connection, is it a real connection? And we have a couple of keywords in the show. So the one is one world. And on the one side, we all have only this one planet. So it's a global village. On the other side, the other keyword is you are different. So of course there are differences. And the cultural differences, their expectations that might be false. All that is in the background, and for that we have the sister of the young man in Johannesburg and the mother of that young woman in Bielefeld. And they are the partners in crime, you know, just for the conflict, because the mother doesn't want to lose her daughter, the sister doesn't want to lose her brother. And of course it's risky to see your brother or your daughter maybe, you know, leaving you and just moving to another continent. Yeah. So it's all that in the background. And I think, you know, in times where politically, economically, socially, we are more and more divided, you know, we have wars, all that, it's very important to send out the message that we should link and that it's one world. I mean, we only have this one planet, and please open up and try to understand. So it's very much about, you know, opening up mind, heart, soul. And that's why we also have chosen opera, because it, you know, includes everything.
Sure.
From the singing, I mean, it goes to your heart, it's emotional, which adds a lot to the play.
Tell you what, you don't need to understand what's been sung in the opera to feel the emotion. So I completely understand what you're alluding to there. Interestingly enough, with your indulgence, I have a friend who married a German guy. She grew up in Johannesburg all her life. In fact, they just had a kid. And there's real conversations about possibly moving to Germany. So there is a lot of reality to the story that you're pointing out. It does open us up to those other conversations, though, around how connected we really are. And I suppose this is one of the central questions you ask in this play. You know, there's that saying that we're more than connected than we've ever been, but possibly more apart ideologically than we've ever been in history.
Absolutely. And how do you find out what is fake and what is true?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of fake online. I mean, Tinder swindler, all these things, the catfishing. So what do you know about the other one just behind the screen? And you can hide. You can pretend being somebody else. How do you find out? Just not meeting up. And this is the risky part of it. And I think there are also bad stories about that. But still, it's... Again, what we want with this show is to open up the discussion. We don't give answers. So for me, the most fascinating part ever in South Africa are the question and answer sessions after the show.
Right.
And we already had 2 shows, and this is absolutely fascinating because the discussion goes immediately into write these things about abusive relationships, about online dating, what does it mean, can you protect yourself, all these things. And I think that's the most noble thing for theater, to open up these discussions.
And to be a reflection of society, as it were, this mirror that
Exactly.
lesbians typically speak about.
Yes.
How much of those questions also evolve around identity? Because I find in many instances, as we have conversations about how we relate to each other, we try to discover how we relate to ourselves.
Exactly. And of course, family is a big thing in the whole game. I mean, what do you inherit from your parents, from your, family? And in that sense, I would never have dared writing this piece as a German guy, knowing something about South Africa but not being South African, without having had workshops. So the whole project started with a couple of workshops on both sides. So we had workshops with young people in Germany, but we also had workshops at Windybrow Art Center, at Hillbrow Theater, with young people to work on this piece. And it's collaborative, so I'm not the only author, the exclusive author. There are bits and texts from young students from South Africa and from Germany, just to have this authenticity in it. I mean, without that, I would not dare doing this.
Yeah, and workshop theatre is part of our history, quite frankly.
Yes.
A lot of theatre plays that speak about apartheid, etc., were workshopped there as well. Shall we speak about, it's easy to find the differences between young people in Germany and in South Africa, right? But I'm sure there are also stark similarities to the experience of these young people, which ironically is possibly the points of connection for them?
Yes, I think now we had 2 question and answer sessions, and the interesting thing, the younger the audience is, the less they care about race. For them, it's just 2 guys falling in love. So what is the issue about online dating, but not about race or politics, which I found very interesting, because in my generation it would have been far more about the politics behind it, and of course there are challenges. But hopefully what I sense now is that the young generation just doesn't bother that much about the differences and go more for what do we have in common. And there are a lot of challenges, climate change, politics, everything, but we share that. Global warming is global. It's not, it doesn't refer to Germany or South Africa. So in that sense, there's a kind of sense of community, hopefully growing with young people, that emphasize on the similarities and not on the differences. But of course, also from my experience in Germany, as a black man in Germany, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
So, of course, there are prejudices. And that's what our mother stands for in the piece. She has prejudices because she thinks, somebody comes over and will steal the money. On the other side, on the South African side, you think, Germany is the land of milk and honey. And everybody's rich over there, which is also not true. So you have also to struggle over there. So there are a lot of prejudices in the background, but how do you overcome them? It's about knowing each other better, and it's about the knowledge. So the more you know, the less you are trapped in also politics. Politics always want you to side, with some certain opinions, and I think theater is one of the last remaining safe spaces where you can discuss freely and openly all these issues.
And it sounds like it can also be a very cathartic experience for people to be able to reconcile a lot of their own internal conflict around how they feel with these issues. But very quickly, Robert, where can people see it?
It's the Market Theatre, at the Ramalia Makene Theatre. We have shows at 11 today, Saturday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and on Sunday at 3 p.m.
What a pleasure it's been speaking to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
It's a fascinating piece of work, it sounds, At Your Doorstep. And you can certainly watch that as you heard there today. Robert Lehmeier is the director of this interesting production. Once again, thanks for popping by.
Thanks for having me.